Hi, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday, everyone. So, before I add our guest in for tonight, happy Tuesday. Hope everyone can hear me. Check some things out. Happy Tuesday. Hope everyone had a terrific Tuesday. Today is Testimony Tuesday. We're back for another episode with me, the one and only Dr. Jazz, the self-care guru. I am going to add our visitor in today, but before I do, I want to introduce her and introduce her well. So one of the people that's special, I feel like a lot of people are special in my life. I feel like I attract a lot of amazing people. And hi, Bill. I invite and I attract a lot of amazing people in my life. So today I have the one and only Santana Forney. But I want to thank her first of all, because let me just tell y'all a little tidbit. She I think she's trying to connect to Facebook, because so if you have friends that don't have Instagram and they're on Facebook, tell them to go to Facebook. But first of all, I want to thank her because she is joining us live from Korea. Yes, I did say Korea. So it's 8 p.m. here, but it's like 9 a.m. in the morning. So it's 8 p.m. here, but it's like 9 a.m.
All right, I don't know how to get.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Cool. So sorry, y'all. She cannot join me from Facebook. So we'll just cut this off. Okay. But anywho, thank you for joining us. Way from Korea. I appreciate it. I appreciate you first trusting me by coming on Testimony Tuesdays and talking to me about your self-care journey. So I just want to get that out the way. But I want to tell you today where we're going to talk. Everybody that my audience that knows me know that I talk about all things self-care. So, and I've been having like these talks probably for the last few months. I apologize for last month because the guest that I had canceled on me at the last minute. Things happen, life happen. Life just be life in some time. But she is coming to us, like I said, from Korea. You're probably thinking, why is she in Korea? She's in the military. She's one of my fellow airmen, my buddy. As some people say, I want to be politically correct because some people are taking out of content. So she just my wingman. That's what I'm gonna say, wingman. Because I was gonna say something else, and they probably like, what? 'Cause you know, the day and age we live in, you gotta be politically correct. Because if you're not, they will soundbite you and say,
Exactly.
Dr. Jazz said. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for being a part of my self-care journey with JKS Legacy. And for you guys that don't know me, I am Dr. Jasmine Smith. I am the owner and CEO of JKS Legacy, where we do all things self-care. So I am your self-care guru. If you want to sign up and do different things with me, whether it's business self-care, purpose self-care, professional self-care, all your self-care needs, go to Jasma, that's JASMA Smith, SMITH.com. Jasma Smith, all one word.com. But let's get into this conversation, because I love to have conversations. I don't like to say they interviews, they conversations, because I feed off of people. And sometimes it just, be like, oh, you can ask this question, you can ask that question. So I'll start off by saying, since we're talking about all things self-care, what does self-care mean to you, and what does it look like for you?
For me, that means basically taking time out for yourself to reset, to reconnect. Um, it is different for everybody, but for me, it's just taking that time to really sit in the moment and think about what I have going on. So for me, in the morning when I wake up, I typically always have my coffee. Have to have my coffee. But as I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, like, I go through what I have for the day. And sometimes I think about what happened the day prior. So if there's something that's lingering, something that I need to kind of take a little bit more time to process, I give myself time to really think about what that is, why I'm feeling some type of way, and then try to spin it for the day so it's not going into that day and making that day negative.
Exactly. That's good. That's good. So with that journey, so it's like, okay, let me paint a picture. Oh, it's crazy because the cup you sent me for my birthday is right here on my thing. So thank you for my coffee cup. So I'm just picturing you have your coffee, you just sitting there drinking your coffee and just thinking about the day. Let me ask you this. If something pops up, because you said if you're thinking about stuff from the previous day, how do you deal with that if it's negative, to keep yourself grounded and keep yourself able to push forward and move forward and make today a new day instead of making it, because sometimes we dwell on the past and the past just drags us through things so much longer than we have to be there. So
Yeah.
what do you do in order to, like, if something happened negative, like what does that look like for you?
So typically in those moments, that's when I write.
Okay.
So I have to like get those feelings out and kind of set it to the side in a sense. Sometimes I may go back later if it's something that I need to add to it, or it's still like kind of lingering, because sometimes things are a lot bigger and take a lot more time to process, heal from, whatever. But in those moments, I try to get it down on paper so I can kind of process why I'm exactly feeling the way that I'm feeling in that moment. Because you can tell yourself, be like, oh, it's not that big of a deal, but I need to see it on paper as to exactly why I got to this point that I'm at right now. So taking that time to do that kind of, helps me get it out. Because sometimes there's some stuff that you want to tell somebody and you really want to cut up in that moment. But I'm like, no.
Jesus saved them. I say it all the time. Jesus saved you. Because I was about to let you have it. It was Jasmine. But Jesus saved you from that.
So right.
But yeah.
It out, I really can see if it's something that deserves any more of my attention. And 9 times out of 10, it's something that I can kind of like just push to the side and be like, Santana, it's not even that big of a deal. Like, we can move past this and then, continue on with the day. But like I said, if it's something that takes a little bit more time, then it's going to take, a little bit more of me sitting in that moment. I always want to brush everything off, because when you do, it's going to keep coming back up. So sometimes you do have to sit in those moments. Sometimes you might have to cry it out. Like, you're going to have to really, go through the moment for a second to really understand how and why you feel the way that you feel about a certain situation. But like I said, I don't like to drag it on for too long, because sitting in a negative space for too long is just not healthy at all.
It's not good at all. So I heard a couple of things that you said. One was process. It's so important to process your thoughts. People think like, oh, I think that, and like you said, they try to brush it off, brush it off, brush it off. But it's so important for process. Process helps you do a couple of things. And one thing I say, when I process it, I acknowledge it. It says in the Bible that you should take every thought into captivity. So for me, that means when I process it, I'm thinking about how it made me feel, why it made me feel that. Is it triggering me from something that I dealt with from PTSD in the military, or is it triggering me from a relationship PTSD? And that includes friendships, familyship, intimate relationships, and things like that. Why is it triggering me, and have I worked on that part of me? Because sometimes when things trigger you, it's trying to help you deal with something that you really don't want to deal with. So that's so important to process, and a part of that processing is journaling. I love to journal, to write it down, because when you're writing things down in a moment, people don't realize it's therapy within itself. You're writing those things down, and as you're writing them down, when you go back and read them, you see where your mind is. It's like it's like an out of body experience. So you're writing it, but then you're going back in and reading it as if you were somebody else. So it helps you deal with those things even better. So you say you do your coffee, you journal. Like I said, you're in the military. So, what do you do, or how, well, let me back up a little bit. Not what do you do, how does self-care, your practices, your routines, and those things help you in the military, whether that's your career, whether it's your friendships, whether it's your family ships with people in the military, whether it's you picking up on the dime, because as people know, like, unless you've been living under a rock, military people sometimes have to pick up on a dime and just leave your family, leave your friends, leave the little nest that you have. And for a lot of people, that can be traumatic, especially if you don't have like but a moment notice, like we sometimes do. So how does your self-care help you within the military and all the things you encounter?
Well, for one, the self-care routine really only came about maybe like 2 years ago. So it's kind of recent for me. So I've had to, deal with other things beforehand without really having the best self-care plan for me, moving into it. But right now, I think my self-care plan just helps me prioritize. Because in those moments, like you said, you don't really have time to think about a whole lot. But when you prioritize what's important for you, who's important to you, it helps you make a decision quickly that's in the best interest for you and, the people that you care about. For me, it's my two boys. So, thinking about those things, thinking about what's best for them, is always at the forefront of my mind. It's definitely not easy, especially me coming here to Korea. That was a huge change for me, but I looked at the positive of it. Was I away from the boys? Well, I'm still kind of away from the boys, but having to have that time away from them wasn't something I necessarily wanted, but it was something that I definitely needed. It gave me time to really work on me, and I was still able to build my relationship with my kids in a different way, because they were used to me being there 24/7, being with them, taking care of everything. But it's different when you're away and you're still trying to keep that bond going, long distance. So I just try to focus on what's good with anything. Now the military, you run into some people that you do not like, can't stand, don't even want to
And
deal
it's
with.
like, what? God, really? Come on now.
So, some of those situations can be challenging, especially, dealing with people at my last base. That was probably like the first time that I really ran a section of that many people and had to hold so many people accountable. And for me, that's not something that you typically want to do. You don't want to go to work and, be the one to be like, hey, you ain't do this, so I'm giving you paperwork, blah, blah, blah. but there's always a rhyme and reason for doing things that I do. So I try not to be impulsive. I try to make sure that, you know, what I'm doing is in the best interest of not only that person, but the work center as a whole. So there's a lot of things that you have to factor in.
That come into play.
Yes. And that's why when I have those moments in the morning and I'm thinking about stuff, that stuff is, you know, stuff that I have to process.
So
Because I
do
don't
you
know.
think it helps you like in situations when you want to be impulsive or situations that you have to think quick on your feet? Do you think by you taking that time out in the morning to prioritize yourself and get your mind right and get your mindset for do you think that helps you?
It does, because I a lot of times I can go from 0 to 100 when certain things happen, especially at work, because I'm like, I can't believe you just did that.
Because it's like
So
a zero tolerance, like like bro, come
yes,
on,
like you
bro,
know
come
better.
on,
You should be doing it
better.
right. So instead of just being reactive in the moment, sometimes I try to um, get all my ducks in a row. So, and I'll give you an example.
Mhm.
We had a lot of instances where people from leadership were coming and being like, hey, your guys didn't do this, this, and this. And instantly I'm kind of like, well, they know better. They know what they're supposed to be doing and all this other kind of stuff. But at the same time, I was like, Santana, you need to go back, ask your folks, because they're not going to always just be doing stuff just to be doing
Exactly.
it, or messing up stuff just to be messing up. So get all the facts first. Don't be so quick to jump on leadership side just because they said something.
Exactly, because they be wrong too.
Exactly. So me doing that instead of, jumping down their throat about some stuff, um, for one, pretty much built the trust between us. So it's like now when I hear something, I'm kind of like, okay, I'm gonna take what you say, but I know how my guys operate. So unless, it's somebody that's kind of new that, don't really know what's going on, 9 times out of 10, there was a reason for what they did.
Mm-hmm.
And I usually trust, what they're doing.
Because y'all be in relationships. If they know that you got their back, then they're gonna have your back. Even if I realize that in life, period. Even if I don't necessarily want to do it, you know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna
Mhm.
be for the common goal or the common rule, because at the end of the day, if I trust you and you trust me, I trust that you're not going to make me do something wrong. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when people know that and they operate like that, it kind of helps. And when you build relationships, people will look out for you. They'll be like, no, we're not going to do that. Even
Yeah.
if they, and then they'll be like, well, they'll come in and say, well, Sergeant Forney, they didn't do this. And what did you ask them to do? Because I know they said that for a reason. So
Exactly.
that's important to build those healthy relationships. That's just part of self-care. That's one of the categories I teach on societal things. That's your relationships, how you interact in your relationships, how you perceive your relationships, how the other people perceive you. Is it trust there? Like, it's different types. But I'll go back to something that you said earlier about as a mother. Okay, so some people that don't know, um, when we do deployments or whatever, they range from different times. What was different in the time frame from the normal deployments that you go on versus the one that you're on now?
I'm divorced. So
Okay,
I was
so
still
that's
married.
different.
Yes.
And then the time frame, like,
Yes. The first deployment that I was away from them was like 4.5, almost 5 months.
mhm,
This is a complete year. So they have
mhm,
never been away from me that long.
yes. And that can be a big adjustment. So what I will ask you, since you brought up your boys or whatever, um, what, because because I could sense a little bit. You can tell me if I'm wrong. I could sense a little bit of, you're going there and you having to leave them. It was like resentment of, a mother is supposed to always be with their kids. It's supposed to always provide. So how did you? But you said that you didn't even know this was something that you needed
Yeah.
until you been there to, because it's kind of like, as women sometimes we lose ourselves in roles. So as a mother, that came second nature to you. You always provide, you always did what you needed to do and things of that nature. So how did you cope with you being gone and being gone away from them so long? And it wasn't like you can get on a plane and go see them. Like, you're thousands and thousands, like you're hours and hours, 12 hours or more away from them, where it's going to take almost a day to get to them. What made you grounded in the fact that, hey, I know it's something bigger than just what I'm feeling right now, to make you feel like insufficient as a mother because you had to leave them?
Um, the the resentment was definitely there to begin with, um, because you're so used to, you know, being there and handling business. But getting here and realizing the time that I had to focus on school, to focus on my career, to focus on putting a plan in place for myself, you know, thinking about those things. I didn't really take the time to do that before, because it's like you're so much in a routine every day, dealing with work and dealing with the kids, um, that you don't necessarily take that time out. Um, Being around friends, you know, just being able to get up and not have to worry about nobody but yourself is a totally different feeling. And for a while, I was struggling with it, because I'm like, I feel like I'm supposed to be doing something else. I'm supposed to be, you know, calling my kids, you know, a lot more, being on the phone with them a lot more. I definitely felt guilty, but I started realizing that my babies are okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they're not in a situation where they want for anything. They don't need anything. They know that I love them and I support them.
And
Um,
they know they're going to talk to you,
yeah.
like, period.
So like
And they know when you call, you go answer,
exactly.
period.
So what I was worrying about wasn't really something that needed to be worried about. It was just the fact that I was separated from them. Um, and as a mother, you feel like you're supposed to, you know, be there for everything. Now, I still have my feelings with, you know, birthdays and the holidays and stuff, because I'm a huge holidays person. And, you know,
Mm-hmm.
with the kids, I'm very, very involved with them when it comes to that. So moments like that, it did take a little bit of a toll on me. But I did what I could from here. You know, we still kind of Skyped, and, you know, I bought them a gingerbread, you know, house to build on while we was doing it together, you know,
Like, all so
for Christmas.
y'all are like on FaceTime Christmas time
Mm-hmm.
in y'all pajamas doing gingerbread.
Yep.
See, that's a mother's creativity right there in the making, because some people don't think about that. But what I will say is, to you and to everybody that's listening, everybody that'll see this in the future, even even single fathers that's out there doing their thing with their kids, you cannot be anything to anybody else if you don't choose yourself
Yeah.
first. I try so hard to just tell people, like, how you show up for yourself dictates how you can show up for others. So I'll
Mm-hmm.
give you an example. I always say this, and I usually say it at the end of every episode, but I'll say it now because it's very wanted. I was listening to a speaker, and I guess it's a heart surgeon, and I heard it from somebody else too, but anyway, they said that the heart pumps blood to itself first, and then it pumps out blood to all the other vital organs. So if you look at something so precious as your heart, of how you live and breathe and exist, it takes care of itself first before it goes out and spread the wealth to everybody else. That's how we have to
Yeah.
be. In order for Jasmine to show up in all the roles that I have in life and all the people that expect me to show up for them, I have to take time out for myself. And sometimes it's hard for parents, it's hard for people that's in caretakers roles, or even if they're the secondary caretaker, they're always thinking about the person that they have to take care of.
Yeah.
And it's so important that when you take out time for you, and I promise you, you will be you're an excellent mom, but you will be an even better mom after this deployment, because you know how to balance to say, hey, let me do this first, because I know if I do this, then I can show up. That maybe what usually the kids do to get on my nerve, it's not irritating me because I
Yeah.
took time for myself. And that's what I be telling people sometimes when we get in those irritable moments, and we be like, if we just took time at the top of the day or took care of ourselves
Mm-hmm.
first, that stuff doesn't bother us anymore. So like you said, over time, you got used to saying, okay, I'm not going to feel guilty about that, because it's not like I'm doing anything wrong. I'm
Yeah.
doing everything right as a mother. And even though I'm a million miles away, and I'm going to just be honest, it's hard for people in the military because you're away from people you love and care about. It's not like you right up the street. Sometimes you are, but then sometimes you have to deploy places that you can't even take your families.
Yeah.
So it's hard, it's taxing on that. But I tell people, in everything you do, if you show up for yourself as the best version of yourself for that day, and every day it looks different. If you show up for yourself first every day, then you're able to show up in the world, and everybody else is getting an overflowing cup because your cup is
Mm-hmm.
always full because you're intentional about it.
Yep.
So that's good. I did hear that you said you got divorced. You're divorced now. So what is it that you had to, the process that you had to go through to make sure, like maybe extra things you had to do to navigate that process? For self-care.
Because like it was not easy. It was not easy. Um, because you can wake up one day and be like, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good, and get set back that same day. The next
It's a
morning,
roller coaster of emotions.
yes, yes. Um, but it was actually you that told me
Oh,
to give myself grace. Um,
don't do it. Don't, you better not do it.
um,
I can't say that because I'm the self-care queen and you got to feel all those emotions. So if you need to take a second, take a second.
it's dealing with something that traumatic, because I was married for 16
Oh,
years.
wow.
Um, you don't get past that in a day or two.
Uh-huh.
Not even a couple of weeks, couple months. Um, it takes time. And having good friends around you definitely help. And for me, you, as well as a couple of my other friends, were definitely people that I had to lean on. Because you do get frustrated at the moment. You're like, well, this person, the other person is, moved on, did this, did that. Why am I still stuck in this moment?
Mm-hmm.
But there's no timeline for it.
No time.
Uh, but you have to congratulate yourself for the small wins that you do have.
Exactly.
I had to realize that because, if I did have a setback or I did get upset about something that I seen or heard or had to go through, I'd be upset and be like, well, why am I feeling this way? Or why am I, reacting this way? But I had to give myself grace in those moments and know that where I'm at today dealing with this, it's not where I was a month ago, a couple weeks ago, whatever. Um, so I need to be patient, because a lot of the times when we're going through things, we want it to be over with so bad. We want to just be, past it, not have to
We want
think
to
about it.
wake up a year from now and be okay,
Yes,
like the next
so
day.
you want to be at the end result already,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not how it works. Like, you have to go through the journey to appreciate what's on the other end. You really
But
do.
we live in like an instant gratification
Hmm.
type of society. The sad thing is people only show their wins. They don't
Yeah,
show their losses. So a
or the
lot of people
struggle
think,
in the.
yes, and they don't show the process. So people think that, it's always good. And that's not reality. Reality is life be life and we all fall short in something, even in our happiest moments. Sometimes it may be your mind just telling you you're not worthy to be happy right now. Girl, do you
Mhm.
know all this,
Yep.
that you've been through? Or God, do you know where you was a couple of months ago? Because our mind is our worst enemy. A lot of
Mhm.
people, I don't worry about what people say about me because I don't care. My mind is the thing that gets me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's so important, to just know. So what did you learn about yourself going through that process?
Oof.
I know.
Oh
I'm gonna lighten up on the questions. I'm gonna be
man,
funny.
you know, I'm my worst critic. I really am. But I did realize that, um, I, I am capable, of doing a lot for one. Like, when you have the time to, focus on you, um, you start building on those things that you have already. So whether it's, certain hobbies, you're able to make yourself better in a sense, when you do have that time. But also, I learned that, um, just by being around other people and getting to know other people, that everything happens for a reason. So whether I was, upset and bitter and, feeling some type of way about, my situation then, there's always a silver lining. There's always a rhyme and reason for why certain things happen. Um, so accepting that, um, and realizing that, that wasn't the end all be all of me, who I was. It doesn't define anything really. Um, I feel like I'm a better person,
Because of it.
on the other
Okay.
side of it. Yeah.
So I have two questions and we'll be done. Do you think self-care is
Yes.
necessary? Why?
Because it's like, when you don't take that time to really work on yourself, to process things, to process emotions, um, I think it leads you to a path of destruction almost, for yourself, um, because you don't have no outlet.
Mhm.
So not having some way to deal with things, um, just makes life a little bit harder than it needs to be.
Exactly.
So, um, it doesn't take much. It really doesn't.
Yeah.
But I think it is important to keep people level headed, to focus on what actually matters,
Mhm.
um, and to be able to press forward. Because, like you
Exactly.
said, negative thoughts can consume you. So when you don't have an outlet to really process, to think about these things, um, it can just make you a negative person overall.
Mhm.
And you end up hurting those around you, whether you have relationship with these people or not. Um, it's your way of staying grounded.
Exactly. That's true. That's true. And that is true. If you don't take care of yourself, it's inevitable to crash out. But I will say this. A lot of people think that self-care costs, and it really don't. I think for a long time, like I've been on my self-care journey probably for like 10 years or more now, just really finding myself, really finding my purpose, finding what grounds me, finding what, when I am angry or agitated, and I do get angry and agitated, because some people think that I don't
We
never get angry and agitated, and I always smile, and I'm always just this happy person. I promise that's me majority of the time, but I do get pissed. You don't want to see her, and I don't want you to see her either. So I try to hide her deep. But self-care is free.
yeah.
And it's important that you have that. I'm like, some people like, oh, I get my nails done, my toes done, I'm going on a spa trip or whatever. That's fine and cool, but what work are you doing for the inner part? That's all got to do with the outer part. I tell people for a long time, I did not, people be like, oh, you're so beautiful, oh, you're so pretty. And I'd be like, so one day I prayed and I was like, God, what do people see that I don't see? But what it was is I didn't feel beautiful in the inside, so I couldn't at all
Mm-hmm.
feel beautiful on the outside. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I tell people, I said, now I can boldly say, because I do the work and because I'm intentional about continuing to do the work, that I can say that I'm beautiful on the inside and out.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
so just remember, like, self-care is taking care of yourself within,
Yeah.
so you can show up in that beautiful, loving, kind way of how, God created us. Last question. After this segment, after this conversation, what is it that you want to do? What is it that you want to incorporate in your self-care journey, or what is it that you want to take away from your take out of your self-care?
Mm, I don't think I want to take away anything. Um, if anything, I would give myself more time. Um,
Time is good.
yes. Um, Not necessarily to sit in like the bad moments, but more time to, you know, really focus on what I'm appreciative for. A friend of mine was like, I had called him one day on my way to work, and he was like, "You're not smiling." I was like, "I don't feel like smiling right now." And he was like, "But you woke up this morning. You're alive." He was like, "The word for today is gratitude." So that's what I
OMG.
want to focus
Listen.
on, gratitude.
So let me tell you this. Every Sunday, well, sometimes it changes in the middle of the week, but every Sunday I try to concentrate on what I want to concentrate on the week. And for this week, it was gratitude. Just operate in gratitude.
Yeah.
My prayers every morning when I wake up before my feet hit the floor. Lord, let me show up in love today.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let me stand in my own way, and let me just exude your love, because that's what I was created to, period. And so when you said gratitude, I thought about that, like, and then for you to say you just want to give yourself time, it's so important that we
Mm-hmm.
give ourselves time to process, to trust the process, to go through the motions. Time, what we don't realize is time is on our side.
Yeah.
I always tell God, I don't want my blessing 1 minute, 1 second too soon or 1 second too late. I want it to be right on time. So for you to
Mm-hmm.
say time, that that is something else.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. I really appreciate you. I really appreciate that anytime I get to have a conversation with anybody, but especially with my friends. I am so honored that I met you. How many years? Dang, it's like 4 years ago now. almost 4 years ago. The end of the year will be 4 years.
Yeah.
So I'm so grateful that I got a chance to meet you, to know you, to for you to incorporate me in your family, and that like we can grow together and we push
Mm-hmm.
each other past our fears. So I am so I thought that was my little nephew. I am so grateful for you and everything that you have brought to me in my life and my family and allowed me to be in your family. So thank
Thank
you. I know it's
you.
early morning in Korea, but thank you for joining us. Thank you for talking to us. I know this won't be the last time. I know you're going into an amazing season of in your life, and God has some amazing things for you that you don't even know. Just tap into it. Continue to be on your self journey, and even when you come back and you're with your sons every day, I think I know you're going to be a better mother, but you're
Mm-hmm.
going to prioritize things different.
Yeah.
And they're gonna even respect you more because they're gonna be like, oh, my mama is a different mama. She a dope mama. Like, listen, I don't know what Korea did to her, but listen, mind you need to go back again so we can keep.
Present. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. So thank you again. Do you
No
have any
problem.
final words for the people?
Um, we'll take, those words of being grateful, gratitude. We'll ride with that. Um, make sure you take the time to be grateful for the things that you do have and where you're at in life. We all want to be somewhere else and, strive to be better, but we have to be appreciative of what we have right now too.
Exactly. If because he got to trust us with this before he give us anything else.
Facts.
So
Facts.
grateful. People,
Gratitude.
please be grateful. We love you. This is our segment of Testimony Tuesday with my GI Jane specialist, Santana. And I'm signing off as your self care guru, Dr. Jazz. Till next time, peace, love, and blessings. Y'all have an amazing night.